Hi students, and welcome to today's live IELTS class. I'm Adrian and I'm streaming to you from beautiful Victoria here on the west coast of Canada. Victoria is on Vancouver Island and is the capital of the province of British Columbia. Nice to have many of you here with me in today's class. We are continuing, everybody, with IELTS speaking part 3, Band 9 response analysis. So we've been doing a lot of focus on the speaking section of the IELTS exam. A lot of people have exams coming up. Welcome Arda, hi Mien, hi Mikwai, Anish, Manny, Sanjar, nice to have many students in the class today. Again, students, this lesson is brought to you by aehelp.com. For academic IELTS success, definitely visit us there. Join our courses. For the general IELTS, visit us at gieltshelp.com or generalieltshelp.com. On both of these websites, we have tons of tools, materials to assist you in your IELTS learning. This is our general IELTS website here with the green background. You can click this red button that's just above my head here to join our premium package. It's a one-time payment for lifetime access. It supports our efforts to bring you lots of great material. Doesn't cost very much. We are a certified British Council IELTS Test Registration Center and certified British Council agents, so we know exactly what we're doing when it comes to IELTS and registering for schools or applying for immigration. For the academic IELTS, it's this blue background here at aehelp.com. Again, just these buttons above my head. Click those to join our premium package. We will be using these websites today for this lesson to interact with our students, meaning we will use these websites to talk with our students today, just like a real examiner would for your IELTS speaking. And I will ask some speaking part 3 questions and give some feedback and analysis for all of our students. Hi Harwinder, Muhammad, Niranjan, nice to see many students in both of our channels. Students, to follow us on Instagram for daily vocabulary and tips and tricks and questions. Follow us, IELTS_AEhelp for academic IELTS, GIELTS help for general IELTS. So good to do that. And if you have questions about the IELTS exam or about English or about school applications or immigration, you can send me an email to adrian@aehelp.com. We are happy to answer your questions. You can get our exam books from Amazon. We've got lots of classes this week for you, so we'll have more speaking tomorrow, then we'll have some writing for members, more speaking throughout the day. We'll have some, or throughout the week, we'll also have some reading for members later on. So this is our schedule. You can see our schedule on our Instagram or on YouTube, so make sure to subscribe to our channel so that you can get all the recent updates for classes and for what's going on with IELTS. All right, so students, we are doing speaking today. Again, this is going to be speaking part 3. The IELTS speaking section is a speaking interview. It's face-to-face. Sometimes they do it through computer now as well, especially during COVID. They started to introduce this computer method, but even for the computer, if you're doing your speaking with the computer, you still have to go to the exam center. So no, you cannot do it from your home computer. It doesn't work that way unless you're doing the IELTS indicator, but let's not go into that right now. So for the official IELTS, the standard IELTS, you do have to go to the test center. Most of the speaking is done face-to-face in a room with an IELTS examiner who's a native English speaker. They could be British, they could be Canadian, they could be Australian, American, Kiwi, New Zealander. So be ready for different types of accents. So we're going to practice, and the speaking has 3 parts. Part 1, general questions. Part 2, you have to talk for 2 minutes on a topic, mini speech. And then part 3 will be some more specific questions about part 2's topic. So this is a speaking class, everyone, so make sure to speak and repeat. Okay, so speak and repeat. Copy what I say. Try to copy my intonation, copy my pronunciation, copy the rhythm, the style of my speech. I speak with a West Coast, North American accent. So if you ever travel to the West Coast of Canada or the US, like Vancouver, Victoria, Seattle, San Francisco, Los Angeles, you're going to hear kind of my style of speaking. East Coast, North America, so like Toronto, New York, Miami, Orlando, it's kind of similar to West Coast. Central US, Canada has a little bit of a different style. Southern US is a very different style. So West Coast, East Coast, kind of similar. You'll notice some differences, but kind of similar. It's a clear, crisp form of English, so it's easily understood. And it's also the English of most Hollywood movies and films and shows, because of course a lot of the movie industry comes out of the West Coast of North America, so you're very familiar with it. Okay, so Kraft and Umar says speak and repeat. Harwinder, the IELTS indicator is kind of like a substitution exam that IELTS has created for COVID, and it's only available in places where you cannot do the official IELTS exam. So it's less and less common now, but anyway. Jabroni says, I've been to Portland, Oregon, I'm guessing, and Britain suits me better. Yeah, British have an easy time with West Coast North American English as well, so that's why. Okay. All right, Arda says I want to volunteer as well. Okay, so we've already got lots of volunteers. Before we start taking volunteers and live calls, let's just review a little bit from our last class, right? And so last class tips, okay? So here are some big tips. And if you didn't get them all last class, or if you're just joining this class, don't worry about it. You'll get the hang of it. So big tips. 1, answer plus explain plus example. Big tips 2 that I gave you last class is use quantitative language, meaning numbers, right? And I gave you some more tips by analyzing some of our students. So do not overspeak. Okay, so don't just keep talking, don't overspeak. Number 4, start general, then go specific, right? So that was another important tip that I gave you, okay? Another tip that I gave you is use the grammar of the question. So if the question is in present perfect, you should answer in present perfect, everyone, okay? If the question is a conditional, use the condition, right? Like if you had $1 million, how would you spend it? Well, given that I had $1 million, I would buy a house here in Victoria, because that's all $1 million gets you in Victoria these days is a house. Well, I mean, that's a nice buy, but it's how much a family home costs in Victoria, where I live, $1 million. Yeah, so use the question and use the grammar of the question in your answers, okay? So that's what you want to focus on. Let's practice one question together, and then we'll do some voice calls, and we'll analyze some speech and do some practice. So this is kind of on a similar topic as what we have been discussing. So in the last class, we talked about objects of safety like face mask or gloves, oven mitts for taking hot food out of the oven, We talked about work boots, first aid kit. So talked lots about medical equipment. Now, this IELTS speaking part 3 starts with let's talk about dangerous circumstances. Circumstances is just a fancy way of saying situations. Okay, let's talk about dangerous circumstances. Okay, so the first question, we're just going to type it. Okay, I just want you to warm up here, warm up your thinking, your communication. Again, answer, explain, example. So what types of threats are the most likely these days for people around the globe? So around the world, what types of threats are most likely these days? So give me a nice full sentence answer for this one, and then we'll take a look at each other's answers. I'll give you some feedback, and then we'll start doing some voice calls. Okay, so I'm going to type up the answer. You type up the answer, put it in the chat, and then we'll analyze. Okay, so all right. Kindu Sandhu says there are ample threats around the globe. However, the biggest threat is pollution, which is actually having a bad impact on the lives of individuals, such as health problems. Okay, Kindu, good. That's a good answer. Maybe mention one other threat. So when you see this S in the questions, when the question is dealing with the plural, like what are the most common threats? Then you want to say at least two, like pollution, disease, natural disaster. Mi Yen says, today many people around the world need to face lots of dangers such as car accidents, natural disasters, and the most significant situation right now is the COVID-19 pandemic. In Vietnam, people also have to cope with this situation, and that's why I wear a face mask to the speaking test now. Very good, Mien. That's a band 9 answer, as long as you say that nice and fluently. Shaheen says, COVID-19 is one of the most dangerous situations that has been happening nowadays. This is very dangerous for human health. My neighbor who has overcome COVID-19 is suffering from damaged lungs. Shaheen, I'm sorry to hear that if that's true. Yeah, again, Shaheen, make sure that you say more than one. So really pay attention to the plurals. It's a little tip hint there to get that higher band score. Okay. So again, the question that we're looking at is what types of threats are the most likely these days for people around the globe? And then here's my answer. The most frequent kinds of dangers for most people around the world are disease, like the COVID-19 pandemic that we have been dealing with these past couple of years, as well as natural disasters like floods and earthquakes. There seems to be more and more of these each year. And then stop, okay? Don't keep talking. Because if you keep talking, the examiner will interrupt you. You won't really clearly hear the next question. The conversation starts to become awkward, so you don't want to do that, okay? All right. Craft with Umar says the most common threat is global warming. It's increasing day by day. Another of the most dangerous situations is the COVID pandemic that we are facing. Okay, good. And then you keep going. All right, Craft with Umar. Good. It's a great start. Yeah, and definitely you want to finish that and then stop. Don't just keep talking and talking, right? Jainil says, nowadays, the most frequently happening kind of danger for individuals on Mother Planet are pollution, animal extinction, natural disasters, and crime like theft and robbery. Okay, Janil, good. A couple of slight oddities there, but I was making corrections while reading, so. Okay, Jabroni says, I reckon environmental issues are the most hazardous, courtesy of climate change. GHG emissions damage the atmosphere, creating greenhouse effect, which causes lots of natural disasters and extinction of species. Okay, Jabroni, good. A couple of small mistakes, but a couple of nice uses of English as well. The expression courtesy of climate change is very, very good. Okay, so you've got the right idea, everyone. Okay, answer, explain, example. Use the I'm still getting over this nasty cold. Use the question in your answer. Reflect the grammar, and off to the races. So you're doing a great job. Okay. All right. So we're going to do some voice calls here with students, and you're going to hear my conversation with the students, just like we did last class. And then we'll get into some deep analysis and feedback on how students do. So I know lots of students are waiting to volunteer, which is great. Let me just give you the instructions here on how to do this. Okay. So here are the steps to speaking with me. Okay. So number one is you can register a free or get a paid account from aehelp.com or glshelp.com. So basically, let me just kind of switch between scenes here. So this is the academic here. You can click this big red button. Again, it's just right there to join our premium package. One-time payment, lifetime access. It's really, really worth it. Or you can just click that green button that's just below right there. And then get a free account. And then once you do that, you'll have that My Student account that's way up there at the top. Okay. Click on that My Student account. All right. And then you're in this My Student account here. You've got lots of materials, videos, interactive courses, application for your phone. And then you have this student partner speaking that's, again, just right above my head there. Okay. And by the way, if you like the student partner speaking that we're doing and you want to do a full IELTS practice interview with me through Zoom, of course, it's a paid service, but it's worth it. Then just click on that speaking interview practice that's above my head there. But right now we're going to click on this students partner speaking. It's easier to do this if you're on a computer, but if you're using mobile, it'll kind of look like this. Okay. So you click on that student partner speaking that's right there, and then you accept that you're going to be kind and friendly with other students or with me. Riza, the way that you can pay with debit card is if you buy our app through the App Store and then link your web account. Okay. All right. So here we have our volunteers. Okay. So once we're in here and you want to keep this window open, then I will ping you. Okay. So please don't call me. I will call you. And we have lots of people already in here. By the way, students, practice with each other as well, okay? Not just with me, but with each other. So we have Amrit, Paul, Manaj, Siraj, Ansar, and lots more. Okay, and here is me. I see that you have to go in 10 minutes and you really want to volunteer. So let's take me. Let's see if I can get a hold of me here. I'm going to downsize this a bit. There we go. I'm going to send me a message and then we'll go with me. And I believe there was somebody else in here as well that I promised we would do one with. So we'll go step by step. Everybody, I'll try to get as many students in here as I can. So hi, me. Would you like to start? I know that you volunteered before in the past, so you know how it works. Now, students, we're only doing audio, so don't try to video call me or don't try to video connect because the video is being used by YouTube. And also when we are talking, so if I'm talking to you, make sure to mute YouTube so you're not getting feedback into your microphone and such, okay? All right, so Me says, sure. Okay, Me, so I'm going to call you. Here we go.
Hello, sir.
Hi, Me. How are you doing?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I am doing much better than last on the weekend anyway. I was quite sick, so I needed to rest. But thank you for asking. Okay, Me. So I'll ask you a couple of questions in just a moment, and I see that you have to run off somewhere.
Yeah.
And so we'll get right into it. So again, just do your best. Don't rush, right? You can take your time. So you don't have to speak super fast. You can get a band 9 even speaking at a slow, comfortable speed. You have to focus on a good quality answer, okay, Me?
Okay.
Here we go. We'll do that first question one more time, okay? So that's the end of part 2. Now we'll continue with part 3. For part 3, I will ask you some questions related to the topic of part 2. Let's talk about dangerous circumstances. What types of threats are the most likely these days for people around the globe?
Today, many people around the world need to face with lots of dangers like natural disasters or some car accidents. But the most significant situation here is the COVID-19 pandemic, and many people in the world need to deal with this situation, and so as Vietnam, and that's why I have to wear a face mask to take the speaking test right now.
Which threats do people likely not need to worry about?
That's an interesting question. Let me think about it for a moment. For me, there are no such kinds of threats that do not need to worry about. It is called threat, so it must be dangerous, and therefore people need to find out the reasons, the effects, and the solution as well to solve these kinds of threats. Just like the COVID-19, people have to wear a face mask and be vaccinated.
All right. Okay. Thank you so much, Me. So let me give you a little bit of feedback. Okay. So for your first answer, you would be easily at a band 8. Okay. It was very fluent, very clear, very accurate. The grammar was good. You used the question. You had good fluency, good grammar, good lexical resource. Your intonation was a little bit awkward, and that's totally normal. May I ask, Me, are you from Vietnam?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, and I know that in Vietnamese, the intonation of the language is quite unique. It's quite different from English. Am I correct when I say that? Like it's quite different the way
Yes.
that yeah, and that intonation comes through in English, right? So it takes quite a bit of practice to get rid of that. So what you want to do is you want to kind of copy podcasts or TV shows like Friends, and you want to just kind of copy their intonation because you have this kind of like quick stop, quick stop, quick stop, which is common among Vietnamese speakers. Like you're like, too many people around the world have Nhi Phi, so you kind of feel what I'm saying. Like it's this quick stop, quick stop. Yeah, and that's common in the Vietnamese language. So that's a little bit odd, and you might, if you have that throughout your speaking, you might lose a half band for that as part of your kind of pronunciation feature. But otherwise, your pronunciation is very good. So your words are very clear. I can understand them. Okay. And it's nothing to stress about. Okay. So like band 8 is a fantastic score. Okay, I like how you gave multiple answers. So you said natural disasters, car accidents, but the most dangerous is COVID-19. You gave a nice, smooth example. The next question, when I said which threats, or when I asked you, which threats do people likely not need to worry about? You did something really well, which is you bought some time and you said, that's an interesting question. Let me think about it for a moment. And you actually took a moment, which was really great. Okay. It's a good idea to do that. And this is kind of a weird question. Like, it's people don't ask you every day, like, oh, hey me, so what kind of threats, like, don't I need to worry about these days, right? You're like, what? Excuse me. So it's not a common question. And for this type of question, it's okay to say, well, that's an interesting question. Let me think for a moment. And then you want to think. Okay. Now, your answer was a little bit tricky because you said that for me, there aren't really any threats that people don't need to worry about. I think it's kind of a false answer. Like, I'm sure there are people, there are, kind of different situations that people get scared of, but we don't really need to be scared about them. And I'm sure you can come up with some. You just have to keep your thoughts simple. Okay. So let me ask you this again, me. What kind of things do people get scared of where they don't really have to be scared of it? Think of kids, for example. Like, kids are often scared of certain kind of situations that
Right?
don't exist. What's that?
Ghost. You mean
Ghosts.
ghost?
Yeah, for example, ghosts. Okay, so yeah, and again, it's, maybe some people will tell you ghosts exist and you should be scared, but you can make that up, right? So it doesn't have to be the truth. It just has to be your truth, right? So ghosts. Okay, ghosts and monsters. Anything else that comes to mind?
Like the dark?
Sorry, can you say that again?
The dark?
The dark.
DARK.
Yeah, dark.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got you. The dark. Yeah, we usually say the dark, right? So it's the dark. Yeah,
Okay.
the dark. Yeah, absolutely. Another one, for instance, if I'm searching kind of my own experiences, and this is what you want to do, is search your own experiences. Think about, like, if I ask 100 people, if I ask children, men, women, what kind of answers would I get? What would be some popular answers? Kind of think about that when you're practicing, and you'll come up with these really quickly. So ghosts, monsters, the dark, airplanes, right? A lot of people are scared of flying and airplanes, but we actually know that the chances of dying in a plane disaster, it's very rare. It's very unlikely. Like, they say it's 1 million times less likely than a car accident or something like that. So even though many of us do get scared when we're flying, we know that planes are actually pretty safe, especially big planes. So ghosts, monsters, the dark, airplanes, alien invasion. I don't know about you, me, but I'm not too scared about aliens coming and taking over the planet. Are you scared about that?
No.
No, not really, right? But we have tons of movies, right, that show aliens are coming. Dinosaurs, right? Are you scared of dinosaurs?
No.
No, you're
Because
not.
I don't see it.
Yeah, we're not scared of dinosaurs, right? We have movies that, we should be scared of dinosaurs, but we're not scared of dinosaurs. So it's usually better to answer positive for the questions in the IELTS because positive answers are easier to talk about. As soon as you say, I don't think there are, or no, it doesn't work that way, it becomes so much trickier to explain yourself clearly, even if you're a native speaker. Okay, so that's why you want to kind of avoid negative answers. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Okay,
I
let me
understand.
let me just try this question one more time and think about the answers you just thought of, and then again, think answer, explain, example, and we'll try this one more time. Okay, so which threats do people likely not need to worry about?
That's an interesting question. Let me think about it for a moment. For me, the threats that people do not need to be scared of, that is the scared of airplanes. Like many people think that they will be die or they will have a plane fall if they travel by planes, and that's not always true. Um, like in the world, only about 1% chance that the airplanes may fall.
Okay, pretty good, pretty good. I would keep it even simpler. All right, I think you got a little bit carried away with the planes there, and instead just focus more on the other parts as well. Oh gosh, me, I hope it's not 1%. It'd be like 0.001%, but that's okay. The truth doesn't matter, so don't worry about the truth. If you say 1%, it's totally fine. Okay, so let me give you a sample answer and then repeat after me. Okay, so that's an interesting question. Let me think about it for a moment. Well, for me, situations that people don't really need to worry about are ghosts, monsters, dinosaurs, or an alien invasion, because these are not real. They're just in the movies. Also, being scared of flying. There's very little chance of an airplane crash, so people don't need to worry about that. I don't worry about it when I fly to the States or other parts of Asia. Okay, so just like that, A, B, C, D, connect, and keep it simpler. Okay, one more time. Which threats do people likely not need to worry about?
Um, that's an interesting question. Let me think about it for a moment. For me, the threats that people not really need to worry about are like something like ghosts, monsters, airplanes, alien invasion, because they are not real. They are just in a movie, and um, and the and for example, for the airplanes, there are a really small chance to have the airplane accidents. This is just about 0.1% to be injured in airplanes.
Okay, and then just stop
And
there.
I
And
don't,
then
I
stop there.
never.
So
Okay,
stop there. So once you feel like you're talking so much that the examiner might interrupt you, don't then even just skip the example. So there you should be feeling like, okay, that's enough. I should stop there, because if I keep going, the examiner is going to interrupt me. So just save your example for the next one in that case. And that was good. That was much, much better. So that answer would be an easy 7.5 to a band 8. Okay. All
okay.
right. Okay, me, that was fantastic. I'm not sure where you're going, but I hope you have a great day wherever you go. Thank you so much for volunteering. Everybody give me a nice applause and a thumbs up. She was very brave to be the first one in this class to volunteer. Keep up the good studies, me, okay?
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you for volunteering. All right, we'll take another volunteer here in just a moment. So let's see who is going to volunteer. And thank you for the thumbs up, Janelle. Arda wants to volunteer. I want to give some new students a chance too, Arda, before we take some other students. So just give me a moment here. Let's see. So Aziz Beck. Let's try to reach out to Aziz Beck. I think I didn't have a good chance to get a hold of him last time. Yeah, Aziz Beck says, I've been trying to connect for a long time. Okay, let's try to connect, Aziz Beck. So, hi. Are you ready? So I'm going to try to connect with Aziz Beck here for a couple of questions. I know Aziz Beck has really been trying to connect for a long time. So let's try to do this. Aziz Beck says, obviously. Okay, I still have to ask. I don't know what's going on in real time where you are. So, okay, Aziz Beck. So here we go. Let me reach out to you. All right, so we're calling Aziz Beck. All right. It's ringing. Make sure you have your microphone and your speakers enabled for the website on your browser. You have to find that in your browser settings. It'll say enable microphone and speaker for the website. All right, so for those of you who are just joining, we're doing IELTS Speaking Part 3. I'm just calling some of our students, and we're answering questions and analyzing the speech. Aziz Beck, it's ringing, but no answer, so you have to check your system. And what I suggest, Aziz Beck, is try it with some other people in your area. You might have country limitations on chat software like Skype as well, so check for that. Okay. Yeah, so in some countries, students, unfortunately, your countries might limit the use of certain chat software, so you have to be careful about that. Okay, Sanjar here, I believe, was very, very patient. So let's reach out to Sanjar. Hi, Sanjar. Would you like to volunteer? Let's see if we can get a hold of Sanjar. Okay. And I see Harshit is as well. So I want to give Sanjar a chance here first. Let's see if Sanjar is still with us. And then, okay, there's Sanjar. All right, Sanjar. So here we go. I'm calling Sanjar, hopefully. Hi, Sanjar.
Hello, how are you?
I am doing great. How are you doing?
I'm good, thanks a lot.
Awesome. And where are you right now, Sanjar?
Now I'm from Uzbekistan in Central Asia.
Okay, you are in Uzbekistan. Are you in the capital? Are you in Tashkent?
Yeah, of course. I'm in Tashkent.
I don't know. You could be from another place in Uzbekistan, right? It's got some nice big cities. Tashkent, I'd love to visit there someday. It looks absolutely incredible. Okay, Sanjar. Thank you for volunteering. I'm going to ask you a question or two and then give you some feedback and estimated score. Are you ready to do this?
Yeah, sure. I will try to do my best.
Awesome. That's what you want to do. Okay, so just use the question, give an answer, an explanation, a smooth example, and that's it. All right, so here we go. How can governments and society, let me just start that one more time. How can governments and society minimize the possibility of dangerous situations happening?
Okay, it's a good question. I haven't thought it before, and let me think a moment. I think the government should increase the rule of the traffic, because of there may be a lot of accidents by the cars and any of people, and just they must try to solve all problems as possible as soon.
Does this always work?
I think it's all.
So does it always work when governments create more traffic rules that it solves traffic problems?
It is the first time I'm participating, so I have some shy and so.
Not a problem at all. It's actually a great way to overcome your shyness by doing this. So you're building your confidence. And that's one reason, everyone, that it's really good to volunteer for these kind of questions, because you build your confidence. And that's what you're doing right now. So don't worry about it at all. Okay. So your estimated band score for these two questions would be about a 4. Okay. And the reason is because obviously you got stuck a couple of times, and your grammar, when you were speaking and giving me your answer, your grammar was a bit confusing. So I actually understood what you said. So I did understand that for the first question, you said that one way governments can minimize dangerous situations is to create kind of more traffic rules, or to control the traffic so there's less car accidents. So I did understand you, and that's basically a band 4. So if the examiner asks a question in part 3 and the student can understand it and can answer it, that's a band 4. Okay. If a student cannot answer questions in part 3, then it's band 3 or less. Okay. If a student can't answer questions in part 1, then it's a band 1 or less. But if you can't answer them in part 3, then it's band 3. But you did answer it, so that was pretty good. Okay.
Yeah, true.
It was a little bit unclear, so I had to kind of think twice about what you were saying, and the grammar was a little bit off. It was smart of you to buy some time at the beginning, so you said, okay, it's a good question. I haven't thought about it before. Let me think about it a moment. So you said, I think governments should increase. Your idea was good. Let's just clean it up. So I think governments should increase the number of traffic rules.
Yeah.
Instead of rules, let's use the word regulations. It's more common. Okay, so should increase the number of traffic regulations to decrease car accidents, to decrease the amount of car accidents. And then let's give another one. So in this kind of a question, you want to give at least 2, okay? So also society has to make vaccinations for COVID mandatory. Even if you don't believe in it, it's an easy answer. Everybody's talking about it. It's in the news. So in the IELTS, you don't have to speak the truth, and you don't even have to say what you believe, okay? To the IELTS examiner, I mean, it sounds terrible, but you're just a number. They even tell you your number at the beginning. Like they'll say, this is candidate number 735912, okay? So to them, you're just basically a number. So don't be nervous, okay? To them, you're a number, and then the next number is coming. Okay, so for you, the most important is just to pick the easiest path, the easiest way to get that high band score. And a good way to do that is just choose popular topics or popular ideas that you see in English all the time these days. Like people are talking about mandatory vaccination all over the place, right? So you can say also society has to make vaccinations for COVID mandatory to save people's lives. And then you can give a smooth example. You can say in Uzbekistan, vaccination is now a must, and there is basically no COVID, okay? Even if it's not true, you can just say that, okay?
Sure.
The examiner doesn't care. They just want a good answer, a good English answer, okay? Let me read the question and the answer again, and then you can repeat the answer after, okay? So here we go. How can governments and society minimize the possibility of dangerous situations happening? Okay, it's a good question. I haven't thought about it before. Let me think about it a moment. I believe governments should increase the number of traffic regulations to decrease the amount of car accidents. And also, society has to make vaccinations for COVID mandatory to save people's lives. In Uzbekistan, vaccination is a must, and there's basically no COVID. Okay. Let's try this one more time. I'll ask you the question. Here we go. So, how can governments and society minimize the possibility of dangerous situations happening?
Okay, it's a good question. I haven't thought about it before. Let me think about the moment. I think government should increase the number of traffic regulation to decrease the amount of cars accidents. Also, society has to make vaccination for COVID mandatory to save people's life. In Uzbekistan, for example, vaccination is now a must, and there is basically no COVID.
Okay, so that would be your band 9 answer. Now, I could tell that you're reading, which is totally fine for practicing. In fact, what you want to do when you're practicing at home is when you give an answer, record it on your phone, then type it out, just like I did, find the mistakes, correct it, say it correctly, and then try to say it without reading. And it's a good way to program your brain to fix some grammar mistakes. Is that clear?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you for your all advice. I will try to do my best.
You are very, very welcome, Sanjar, and keep it up. Remember, your brain is a learning machine and a really good one at that. So keep going, and you're going to get really good at English and you'll be successful, okay?
Okay, I appreciate your help for me. Thank you a lot.
You're very welcome. Okay, everyone, so please give an applause and a thumbs up to Sanjar. He was very brave, and of course, it's very, very brave for people to share their English with others. I can only imagine trying to speak Uzbek as a second language and sharing it in a live class like this, okay? All right, Tanya saying thumbs up. So that's fantastic. All right, okay, I'm gonna take some more volunteers here. So let's take another person here. Let me see who we have. So we have Arslan Bandita here at the top. We have Arda. Okay, let's take Arda. I know Arda's been patiently waiting, one of our members. So let's take Arda. Arda says, I'm down to volunteer. Okay, let me ask you, Arda, then. Are you ready? Okay, if you're still here with us, let me see if Arda is ready to go for a quick question or two here. Okay, Arda says yes. So I'm going to call Arda. And if I remember correctly, Arda's English is quite good. Hi, Arda.
Hello, sir.
How are you doing?
I'm doing good. What about you?
I am recovering from this. I don't know what kind of a cold or flu. It kind of reminds me of strep throat. But anyway, I'm getting better. So thank you for asking.
I hope you get better and better.
Yeah, no, I'm
Right
drinking lots of tea. And I took Jainil's advice. I think Jainil was the one that says I should drink hot ginger with some lemon and a bit of salt. And I did that and it worked really well. So thank you, Jainil.
I also advised you that you should
was that
drink
you?
warm beverages, yeah, like tea and...
So thank you for those home remedies. They're called home remedies is the collocation for that. Okay, so Arda, I'm going to ask you a question or two. Again, just focus on a clear, complete answer. Once you feel like you've answered the question completely, then just stop, okay?
I stop, yeah, okay.
Okay, so Arda, when you're doing a good job in part 3, there is a chance that the IELTS examiner will introduce kind of a secondary topic of conversation because they will definitely fill their 12 minutes, okay, most likely. So they might say something like, let's talk about survival in a crisis. Where are some common places that people may escape for safe refuge?
Some places that people may go to for safety in dangerous situations could be underground tunnels and crowded places. What I mean by underground tunnels, in Second World War, Nazi Germany bombed Britain and British people had to go to underground tunnels to avoid the bombs coming from the sky by planes which are called the Blitz.
And which of these kinds of places is the safest and why?
The safest place to go in a threatening situation, it would be a police station because there are people who work to save and secure people from danger.
Okay, very good. Okay, very nice. Yeah, so you're definitely, I remember your speaking is quite strong, Arda. So you're swinging between a band 8 and a band 9 for sure. Okay. At the high band scores, it's really tricky to predict whether you'll get a band 8 or an 8.5 or maybe even a 9, depending on your examiner and how strict they are, how experienced they are. If I were your examiner, I would give you a band 8.5. I think I'm kind of in the middle for examiners. So some examiners are a little bit more lenient than I am, so they might give you a band 9, and there are definitely some examiners that might be a little bit stricter, and they will say, okay, well, that's an 8 because I had a bad cup of coffee this morning and I know where there can be some fixes. So I really liked your answer. So the first question was, where are some common places that people may escape for safe refuge? Okay. Safe refuge means for safety, and you got that. Okay.
Yeah.
So even if a person hears like a kind of a tricky word that they might not be familiar with, like refuge, okay, you don't have to get scared or panic. Go with the word that you know. So may escape for
Safe.
safe, right? And you
Yeah.
know it's like, okay, it's a safe, must be kind of like a safe place, right? And you're correct in that assumption. So you understood that from context, if the word was new for you. Okay, and then you said some places where people may go to in a dangerous situation are underground tunnels or, and then you said a second one, I didn't quite catch it, but it was fine.
Crowded places.
Or crowded places, yeah. I wasn't quite sure why people would go to a crowded place.
Because in isolated areas, lots of things can happen to people, like kidnapping and, you know.
Okay, and there's no one to help, right? So there's less people
Yeah.
who can actually assist you when you're isolated or far away from others. So that might have, you might have wanted to explain that a little bit clearer to the examiner of why you mentioned crowded places, because in some situations people run away from crowded places as well. So it depends.
I talked too much. That's
Yeah,
why.
and you were correct. So you realized that your example of underground tunnels in Nazi Germany seemed like it was going a little bit too far into storytelling,
Yeah.
and then you stopped yourself, and that was actually really good. Okay, I like how you stopped yourself, because if you hadn't, definitely you'd be getting interrupted. Okay, so if your example starts to turn into a story, the examiner, even with your level of English, the examiner will interrupt you. Okay. Now, if I wanted to be really, really picky, what is the technical term for an underground tunnel? There's another way we call that. There's one word that's a specific word for an underground tunnel that has food supplies and other survival equipment. So underground tunnels or rooms with food, they're called something. It starts with a B. You probably know this word. It just might not have come to mind. Do you know what it is?
It didn't come up to my mind.
Do you know the word?
I don't know.
Starts with a B. Oh, Saeed Tour in our chat just used the word. Saeed says the word is bunker. Yeah.
Bunker. Yeah, I know this word. Yeah.
Yeah, it's called a bunker.
I just couldn't remember.
Yeah, exactly. That's why, and so you want to use it, right? So as soon as you're like, oh yeah, the word is bunker. That's where you can guarantee yourself those band 9 lexical resource marks, right? So you're like, what I'm talking about here is like a bunker or an underground shelter, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And then I said, which of these is the safest and why? And you said the safest place to go in a threatening situation is a police station, because there are people there who are trained to assist others in difficult situations. And that was a really good answer. And that's where you might want to throw in an example. Like there was a strange person chasing me last night on my way home from school. So I stopped at a police station and waited there, and they helped me. Right. So even if it's not true, you can kind of make that up.
Yeah, make it up. Yeah.
So let me give you a sample response to the first answer, and then you can repeat after me. Okay. So notice how I'll simplify your example here. So where are some common places that people may escape for safe refuge? Well, some places where people may go in dangerous situations are underground tunnels or crowded places. They might seek out a bunker in case of wartime, as people did during World War I and World War II when cities were being bombed. And they might go to a crowded place when there are dangerous threats from others, so that they can have assistance from their friends or family. Okay, so try that. Here we go. The question one more time. Something similar. It doesn't have to be the same. Just follow the same concept. Okay, your English is fine, so you don't have to repeat the same words that I use. Just the same kind of concept.
Yeah, I'll just try.
Yeah. So where are some common places that people may escape for safe refuge?
Some places where people go to for safety in dangerous situations could be underground tunnels and crowded places. People can go to bunkers in some situations, like the Second World War, when Germany bombed England, and England people had to go to these bunkers for food supplements, and um, and they might even need to go to crowded places in a situation when someone is trying to kidnap you. Or
Okay. Good. So much better. You can shorten your examples even more, right? So you said when Germany bombed England. That's enough. You don't have to continue after that. So you could have left that next one or two sentences out, and then they can go to crowded places when somebody is chasing them or threatening to attack them, to kidnap them, and then just stop, right? So that's what you want to practice. So you've got the English. You want to focus now more intensely on the communication elements, because for those high band scores, the band 8, band 9, they're no longer really just looking at your English, but they're looking at your communicative style. Exactly. Yeah. Okay. That's why IELTS is a proficiency exam, not an ESL exam, right? That's exactly the difference. Okay. Arda, thank you so much for volunteering again. It's very useful, I'm sure, for other students learning also. Yeah. We'll take one more student for today. So one more. I want to give somebody else a chance. So give Arda a nice applause, everybody. Again, he's very brave. He's got great English, but it takes a lot of courage to voice yourself in front of so many students. So thank you, Arda.
Okay.
All right. So we'll take one more person. So let me see what's going on here. We've got Richard and George in here. Those almost sound like English names. We have Shan Mugananthan. What an amazing name. Okay. And we have Shaheen. Let's see if I can... let's see if I can reach out to Shaheen. Okay. So, yes, Shaheen. Are you ready? Let's see if Shaheen is ready to volunteer, and then we'll reach out to Shaheen. I promise everyone that in different classes, I'll try to choose different students. So we've got a speaking part 1 class tomorrow. And if I didn't catch you today, like Arsilan, I'll definitely try to catch you tomorrow. Okay, Arsilan? So I'll keep your name in my head. Okay, so Shaheen, I'm calling you now. Let me see if we can get a hold of Shaheen.
Hello.
Hi, Shaheen.
How are you?
I'm doing great, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing very well.
Am I pronouncing your name correctly, Shaheen?
Yes, it's Sean.
Okay, great. Yeah, I meet with a lot of names from around the world, and sometimes they're a bit tricky.
Yeah. It's kind of Arabic.
It's an Arabic name?
Kind of Arabic. It came from Arabic to my language.
Okay, and where are you right now, Shaheen?
Azerbaijan.
Azerbaijan. Awesome. Okay. How is the weather in Azerbaijan?
It's kind of hot today than other days.
What is the temperature? What's the exact temperature?
10 degrees Celsius.
10 degrees Celsius. Okay. I would have guessed it might be a little bit colder than that, but okay. All right. So I will ask you 1 or 2 questions. Again, give me a full answer. As soon as you feel like you've answered the question, just stop, okay? Because otherwise the examiner has to interrupt. So focus and use the question. So one way to do a good job with your answer is to use the question in your answer, okay?
Okay.
All right. So here we go. How has technology been used to increase the security of shelters in emergency situations?
Oh, that's an uncommon question for me. Let me think about it a little bit. Technology has been used to maximize the security of bunkers in dangerous situations in the way that to help people's health in safe. For example, in Denmark, there are shelters that government to get their people in there when they have missile attacks or other situations, and these shelters are very modern.
Okay, that was good. So that's great. I'm going to discuss that before we go any further because I think you did a really good job. Okay, especially the start of it. So the first half of your answer, I think, was like a strong 7.75 easily. Okay. And then the second half of it was a little bit lower. The second half of the question was like more of a 6. It was a little bit more confusing. So if I'm just looking at this question and your answer, I would easily give it a 6.5. Okay. Your fluency was quite good. What you have to work on is you have to make sure that your whole answer is clear, not just the first part of it, but the whole answer.
Actually, I was stuck when I heard this question because it's kind of not for me.
Yeah, it's awkward. And
Yeah.
you know, sometimes like some of our students will say, "Oh, Adrian, I took the IELTS exam and my questions were easier than what we practiced." And then sometimes students will call in or they'll email and they'll say, "Oh, it was the same." Or sometimes they'll say, "Oh, I got like almost the same questions." And then sometimes they'll say, "Mine was actually more difficult." So it's hard to predict how tough the questions will be. And the examiners are actually choosing the questions based on the candidate also. So they have a list of questions. And if the candidate has good English, they can ask more and more questions, and the questions become more and more difficult. They become more and more complicated. So if you're a band 8, you're going to hear some more challenging questions. If you're a band 9, you're going to hear the most challenging questions. So you have to be ready for all of them, especially if you're going for those high band scores. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. So the more time the examiner has, the more fluent the candidate is, the more challenging questions they have to ask, right? It makes sense.
Actually, that was my first time and I was a little bit stressed out.
Yeah, and you came in, you know, as our last person in the class, so you're getting like the more challenge. You're getting the last questions on my sheet, so you're getting the most challenging questions. But you did some steps very well. For instance, you bought some time, so you said, "Oh, that's an uncommon question for me. Let me think about it a bit." And then you used the question and you used the present perfect. You said technology has been used to maximize the security of bunkers in a way that helps people's health. And that was perfect. That was a very high band, very good answer. Okay. And then you said, for example, in Denmark. So your explanation and your example were connected, which is okay. Don't say for example, okay? It's just because examiners, they get scared when they hear for example. They think, "Oh, this person's going to talk." So just start. Just say, in Denmark, shelters have special programs that send text messages to citizens in case of danger. They're also built with special titanium that can withstand major shocks of earthquakes or explosions. Okay, so this has been very efficient to save people's lives. Okay, and then just stop. Right. So I'm going to read the question, give the answer again, and after I finish, just repeat. Okay. So here we go. How is technology being used to increase the security of shelters in emergency situations? Oh, that's an uncommon question. I don't know much about it, but I will do my best to answer. Technology has been used to maximize the security of bunkers in several ways to help people survive. In Denmark, shelters have special programs that send GPS and text messages to citizens in case of emergencies, and they're made of titanium to withstand shock from earthquakes or explosions. Okay? You don't have to say the exact same words, just copy the idea. Okay? I'll ask you the question one more time. So, how has technology been used to increase the security of shelters in emergency situations?
Oh, that's an uncommon question for me. Just let me think about it a bit. Technology has been used to maximize the security of bankers in a way that help people's survive. In Denmark, there are some shelter programs that send to text messages or GPS to the people to get them avoid from natural disaster or other missile attacks.
Perfect. And then just stop there. If you feel like, okay, if I keep going and keep getting stuck, they're going to interrupt me, then just stop there. And even though you were kind of getting stuck at the end there to find the correct words, you still gave me a very clear answer. So you would still, even with that kind of broken fluency at the end, you would still get a solid 7.5, because the rest of your answer was very good. Okay. So that's what you want to do, and then you just want to work on speeding up your language and making it smoother, and that comes with a lot of practice. So make sure you come back to our website and try to connect with other students, okay, like Arda, and practice with them. So you ask a question, then they ask a question. You ask a question, they ask a question. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So everybody,
Thank you
please
very much. Have a good
give.
day.
Yeah, thank you. Give a round of applause to Shaheen. He did a fantastic job, and what a great answer on the second try. So that was fantastic. Thank you for volunteering. Okay, everyone. So again, we're using our website here for this. And we're using the student partner speaking in the My Account. So I recommend using this, okay? It's free, and the students here are all focusing on IELTS. There's lots of you in here right now. Do the same that I just did. So send each other a message first. Be nice with each other. Be respectful with each other. This service is to help you improve for the IELTS exam, okay? I will take some more volunteers tomorrow. Tomorrow we're doing speaking part 1, so a little bit easier questions. And great way to build your confidence by volunteering in these classes as well. So again, this was speaking part 3. For lots more help with the academic IELTS, make sure to visit us at aehelp.com. Join our premium IELTS package. It's well worth it. Okay, so click on that red button that I showed you. Keep up the practice. You're all beautiful, brilliant people. Don't ever let anybody discourage you, okay? You're all hardworking people. That's why you're here spending your time right now with me studying and learning. So keep it up. I'm Adrian. I'm signing out from Victoria, Canada, the west coast of Canada for now. I'll be back at the same time tomorrow with another live class and some more speaking tips and strategies to get those high band scores. Bye for now, everyone.